You leave a conversation and immediately feel exhausted. The drain hits because you spend the whole time monitoring your own face to make sure you react the right way. You check your reflection in a dark screen just to see if you look normal enough. This isn't just people-pleasing, it's social masking, and your brain runs it to keep you safe. One normal chat and your energy is completely gone. It starts with a tiny physical adjustment. A forced smile hides your actual mood. You might spend 10 minutes drafting a casual text just to make sure you sound exactly like the rest of the group chat. The room demands a certain energy, so you bend your entire personality just to survive the interaction.
The reflex forcing you to mirror everyone around you is hidden. You don't do it on purpose. Something else is pulling the strings.
The exhaustion of the performance. The front door closes, and you drop your keys to peel off the character you wear for hours. Any real opinion about the conversation disappears. Survival takes priority. That's the only goal. You are hollowed out by the effort of keeping the mask perfectly aligned. A listening face is something you practiced in the mirror before going to that party. The expression twists into something engaged and perfectly safe. The obvious fix never works. A quick pep talk in the car promises things will be natural this time. It fails. One look from a stranger and the mask snaps right back into place.
Without realizing it, you walk around rehearsing a defense for your own choices before anyone has even judged them. A simple question about a movie turns into a fully prepared testimony. You put yourself on trial in an empty room. Hopeful, steady. A deeper reflex takes over the second you feel observed. You stop performing and see what remains. Why you mirror the room? Why do you automatically change your laugh depending on who's standing in front of you? You think blending in is the only way to avoid being rejected. The shift happens fast. 1 second you're quiet and nodding, and the next you're loud and gesturing wildly. The pull to match the group overpowers your own voice. The moment a crowd gathers, a heavy pressure forces you to scan the faces looking back at you. Standing out feels like a mistake. Every difference becomes a gap you have to close. So you adjust. You tweak your tone, shift your posture, and adopt their opinions. Picture tuning a radio to a new station every single time you enter a different room. You twist the knob to catch the country channel, then flip it to jazz, then force it to classical. Eventually, the dial breaks. The music stops making sense. That constant twisting leaves you with no idea what songs you actually like.
Claim your own physical space. Keep your hands entirely still when someone else is speaking. Hold your natural resting face for 3 seconds before reacting. Notice when you force a laugh and immediately drop your shoulders. The habit is now automatic. You pay for it in the quiet moments after the doors close. You look in the mirror and realize you no longer recognize the person staring back. Erasing your own signature. 3 moments you erase yourself in a single meeting. You treat your own perspective as an insult to the table. You nod at an idea you know will fail. A brilliant solution sits in your chat box, but you delete it before hitting send. Someone proposes a terrible 6-week timeline, and you agree to buy a few minutes of quiet. Agreeing becomes your default setting. Swallowing your opinion feels like the only way to stay in the conversation. You sense the slight tension in the air, and you instantly edit your thoughts to smooth it over. It works. Every forced nod purchases a little more comfort. You apologize for having the precise expertise they pay you for. Calm. Picture painting over your own bright blue signature on a finished canvas so the client never gets offended by the ink. That's what happens every time you speak. You cover up the very thing they hired you for. The work looks precisely like what they asked for, but none of it's yours.
Your perspective is the most valuable data at the table. Write your actual opinion on a notepad before the meeting starts. Putting the words in ink stops you from quietly erasing your own stance when the mood shifts. State one neutral observation without adding a softener at the end. You spend 8 hours a day erasing your voice. The team moves forward with a deeply flawed plan.
Absorbing the ambient tension. Picture a thermostat that reads the temperature for the whole house. It burns its own wires out to keep everyone else warm. You absorb everyone else's mood because you believe their comfort is your responsibility. Carrying the emotional weather of your home is a full-time job. One heavy sigh from the kitchen, and you instantly set down your coffee mug to go fix their frustration. Their frustration isn't your assignment to solve. You smooth things over purely so you can finally relax.
Walk into another room when someone else starts venting. Leaving the area makes their frustration stop feeling like your personal assignment. That physical distance resets the pattern. Let a heavy sigh hang in the air without asking what's wrong. This exhaustion actively burns out your own baseline desires. The cost of the camouflage. You have two paths when you start a project. You can build from your own taste, or you can build to earn their applause. The first choice feels like freedom. The second choice? It's a trap that costs you your internal compass. Every time you sit down to start a project, you cater to their approval instead of your own taste. A blank canvas stops being an opportunity. It turns into a guessing game of what will impress them. You wear so much camouflage that when you check the mirror, your reflection is gone, erased. You trade your own core identity for 3 clapping emojis in a group text. That emptiness is just a habit of building for an audience. The blank feeling is your signal to stop guessing what they prefer. Name one thing you love that no one in your circle understands. Spend 20 minutes making something you never show anyone. Treat this as a test. You ask yourself if you still create it when you know no one ever sees it. Your creative work stays entirely lifeless when you warp your preferences to secure their nod. You exist entirely on their terms, and the projects you build become stale echoes of what they want to see. Paying for the illusion. That disappearance comes with a literal price tag. A dinner bill you can't afford gets split while you pretend to be an easygoing friend. The privilege of maintaining a version of yourself that doesn't exist costs you dearly. Admitting you don't belong feels like a failure, so you fund a lifestyle that isn't yours just to keep your seat. A plate of shared appetizers drains your grocery money just so nobody looks at you funny. Isolation creates itself through your own refusal to exist. Every time you hide your limits, you reject yourself before anyone else even gets a vote. Disappearing is just a way to stay liked. A movie ticket you hate gets purchased just to avoid sitting alone. The whole film becomes a chore endured to stay near people. Total waste. Purchasing an identity operates the same way. Constant apologies for your limits and dodging the simple truth only protect an illusion. Make the only swap that matters. Say, that isn't in my budget right now, without explaining why. Try the script. I'm not doing appetizers tonight. Add, I'd love to grab a drink instead. Order exactly what you want and ask for a separate check up front. 5 seconds of awkwardness pass. Then your money stays in your own bank account. How to drop the performance. Now you know the name. Your brain didn't break. Psychologists call it high self-monitoring. In plain words, your brain treats any change in the room like a threat to your safety. It ends now. You spent years tracking your own face, assuming something was wrong with you. Every single compromise was an attempt to earn your place in the crowd. Here's the paradox. You already have the permission to exist that you keep waiting for the group to hand you. Nobody else holds that authority. Quit the act, rest your face, and subscribe. There's more here to help you build a life you never have to hide from.